If I said Prius to you, you'd probably think of Birkenstock wearing hippies feeling bad about driving a car but having to, or old age pensioners who wanted something comfortable to go and see their grandkids at the weekend. That might have been true of the first and the second generation Prius, but it's not of this car. This is the 2010 Toyota Prius. The second generation came under a lot of criticism from people for its strange gear lever, uncomfortable seats, plastic interior and expensive price tag. At nearly £20,000 there's very little about the price that's changed, but this car is aimed much more squarely at regular drivers. Let's see how it performs. There's something very familiar about stepping behind the wheel of the new 2010 Prius. It's very much like the second generation, or third generation if you're in Japan, Prius, and there is enough familiarity to make me feel quite at home. The cruise control is in exactly the same position. The gear lever operates in the same way. Okay, it's in a different position, but it's a very simple setup. If you've never driven a Prius before, however, it could be very confusing. All this nonsense with a B on the gear stick isn't particularly helpful. This doesn't feel like a hybrid. Okay, you can hypermile in it and you can do all of the things that you used to be able to do in the Prius, but it's got a power button. Hardly wheel spinning, but it's pretty good. This car feels much more like a mountain goat than its predecessor. It's slightly more sure-footed around roundabouts. The old Prius, you just felt sometimes if you went round a roundabout a bit too quickly, you felt like the car was fighting you, telling you off. There's none of that here. It just goes round. Yes, boss. What's next, boss? Go faster? Sure, boss. Do you know, I do have a little bit of information overload right now, because the car's telling me that I have what my fuel consumption is. It's told me where I am, tells me what temperature it is, but the thing that I really just need to know is right in front of me, and that's the best bit. The head-up display, once you figure out how to do it, and there's two little buttons here, is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I know how fast I'm going, and I don't have to look down, ever. It also tells me if I'm braking, how efficiently I'm driving, and it's very useful. I like it already, and I've only had it turned on for about a minute. But at the same time, I question whether I need that information duplicated elsewhere in the car. It just seems a little, I don't know, excessive. The inside of the Prius is now so quiet, I can hear a bird singing outside. And it wasn't, you know, a very loud bird, it was just a blackbird, and I could hear it. And it made my life better because I could. The 1.5 litre engine of the second generation Prius has been replaced by a 1.8 litre engine. Combined with a bigger motor, this enables it to get a much better fuel efficiency. The old Prius had much more of an Apple aesthetic to it. It was minimalistic in just the right way. Buttons had a specific function, but then could be mapped to other things. And the information that was initially displayed was actually quite simple. There wasn't huge amounts of information there for you from the word go. Now, this particular version of the Prius, the 2010 Prius, has gone completely the other way. I've counted nearly a gazillion buttons in here, and they all seem to have just one function. When I'm driving, I don't want to look for a specific button. You know, let's look for the map button, shall we? Okay, power, seek, track. No, I don't want to touch that one. Mode, AC, rear, map, there we go. And at that point, I've missed the 3-speed cameras, the little child walking out into the middle of the road, and the old lady with her shopping and her bag of cats. I want one button. There. Must be said, we have a pretty small setup for filming this. But there's enough room in this boot for a full-size, proper professional camera kit.
After the beep, say a command.
Temperature 20 degrees.
French restaurant.
When did my voice sound like it was asking for a French restaurant? And the cup holders, they get in the way of the gear lever. If you like Coke in a small can, fine, sorted. If you like a big venti chai latte, like me, it's not going to happen. Your cup's going to come up and you're not going to be able to use the gear lever. Okay, it's an automatic, so you shouldn't have to very much. But I think that's going to irritate several drivers. More than several. If you asked me to choose between the 2nd generation Prius and the 3rd generation Prius, honestly, I'm not sure I could. You see, I am a fan of the 2nd generation Prius. It had a very minimalist, almost Apple display with very few buttons that served specific functions in any one screen. There weren't thousands of buttons just with one function, which is what this car feels like. It's much more geared towards the sales rep, the BMW man who wants lots of buttons to prove his virility and show off to his friends. Do I want those number of buttons? No, I want a car that's simple, economical, does what it says on the tin. Nearly 20 grand. I'm not sure this is the car that does it. You might be better off buying a second-hand, 2nd gen. But then again, no road tax, 98 grams per kilometre. If there's a little bit, just a little bit, of a Birkenstock wearing hippie in you, and you absolutely have to own a Toyota, brilliant, go for it. Would I buy one? No. Good car.